What's up, guys? It is Wednesday. It's December 21st, and it is 9 a.m. And this is the crypto newsletter. So first off, we're going to start off with the state of CBDCs in 2022. So digital payments are steadily replacing cash transactions, especially in the retail sector, a trend that picked up pace because of the C-19 pandemic. With modernization of global payment systems, central banks are stepping up efforts to keep up with the latest advancements and are aiming for more financial inclusion using digital payments. CBDC represents the virtual equivalent of a nation's fiat currency. In contrast to stablecoins, CBDCs are centralized, issued and regulated by the country's central bank or monetary authority. Owing to the popularity of stablecoins, which private companies issue, central banks and monetary authorities around the world have started to develop their own virtual currencies in order to keep control of money markets. To that end, several central banks are diligently pursuing CBDC projects as a modern take on central bank money in the digital economy. CBDCs are expected to stimulate innovation in the payments market that will improve on the convenience, efficiency, and safety of current payment systems. In this report, we'll cover the latest developments in CBDCs in 2022 and provide an update on our previous post on CBDCs. The major types of CBDCs, retail and wholesale. CBDCs can be designed to serve either financial intermediaries or any person in the wider economy. The former are referred to as wholesale CBDCs and the latter as retail CBDCs. So wholesale is for financial intermediaries only, as retail is for the wider economy. So operating model of retail and wholesale CBDC. Wholesale CBDC, the individual initiates a payment, and that payment is on an interface. Could be, let's see, actually. Yeah, so that interface is, say, like a PayPal, it's a Cash App, something like that. And then step 2 is the verification of payer, then sends the payment instructions to the central bank, which then sends back to the interface like the PayPal or the Cash App. And then they receive the payment notification, verification of payee, and then it sends it back. Then you have retail CBDC. The individual just initiates the payment right to the CBDC wallet, which sends the tokens to the central bank, which carries out the settlements. And then the other wallet receives the CBDC tokens, and then the merchant receives the payment notification. So wholesale CBDCs are designed exclusively for financial intermediaries such as JP Morgan, Citibank, the Royal Bank of Canada, which holds reserves at central banks. The possible uses of wholesale CBDCs include improvements in payments, greater efficiency in the settlement of securities, and lowering of counterparty liquidity and credit risk. Wholesale CBDCs also facilitate interbank transfers and their associated wholesale transactions. An example would be transactions between financial institutions such as HSBC and Barclays. Wholesale CBDCs would also function as substitutes for or a complement to central bank reserves. These CBDCs also allow for the conditionality of payments, implying that payments would be made on the condition of another payment coming through or upon the delivery of an asset. Guys, I mean, we share it all the time. The Central Bank Policymaker Toolkit from the World Economic Forum that says for wholesale CBDC, crypto assets designed for intra-bank payments and settlements, you have JP Morgan coin, XRP on there. Then they're saying that it would facilitate interbank transfers and their associated wholesale transactions. I mean, that's everything that Policymaker Toolkit laid out. And then it talks about HSBC and Barclays, and I laid that out in the video yesterday. And it would function as substitute or a complement to central bank reserves. So they're going to be holding it. These central banks are going to be holding on their balance sheet as reserves to facilitate these intra-bank transfers and settlements. Retail CBDC. Retail CBDCs make digital money available to the public, functioning as a direct claim on the central bank. Consequently, they don't involve any credit or liquidity risk for the parties involved in the payment. And there are 2 types of retail CBDCs. The first type involves a cash-like design, permitting token-based access and payment anonymity. This option uses a password like a digital signature based on private public key cryptography, which provides access to the CBDC to individual users without the need for personal identification. The other type verifies the identity of users and provides account-based access based on a digital identity plan. This is more suitable for monitoring illicit activities within a payment structure without guarantees of privacy. The use cases of both retail and wholesale CBDCs and the global debate regarding CBDCs is causing central banks to have their own take on things. In the next section, we will examine some of their stances. So how central banks around the world are dealing with knotty issues of CBDCs. So you have on May 2022, around 110 countries were considering issuing CBDCs, representing 95% of the GDP in the world. Of these, 11 countries have already launched their CBDCs, including Jamaica, Bahamas, Nigeria, and 8 other countries in the Eastern Caribbean. 2 countries, Senegal and Ecuador, have canceled their CBDC projects, and in contrast, only 35 countries are pursuing CBDC projects in May 2020. Now they're going to analyze how they approach the issue, and then you have the United States. So June of this year, he said to Congress that they would receive guidance from the U.S. Federal Reserve on issuing a CBDC. The Fed has been exploring the feasibility of a digital dollar since 2017, and it's something that he said we really need to explore as a country, and it's a very important potential financial innovation that will affect all Americans, and that's a fact. Russia, they've overcome their initial reluctance to launch a CBDC, and they started exploring the viability of a digital ruble in 2020, and they expect it to launch in 2024. Meanwhile, international sanctions on Russia as a result of the war in Ukraine have made the need for an alternative international payment system to bypass SWIFT for more imperative. The EU. So the EU have started their investigation phase for a digital euro project, and it's expected to conclude after 24 months, lasting until October 2023. The ECB is expected to engage with all stakeholders, and the investigation aims to address important issues concerning the design and distribution of a euro area CBDC, and the digital euro would be an electronic means of payments for retail payments issued by the ECB. According to the ECB, a digital euro would preserve the role of public money as the anchor of the payment system in the digital age, and in Q1 2023, the EU is expected to propose the regulation required to initiate a digital euro to help accomplish the objectives of it. The most vital design feature of a digital euro is expected to be the legal framework designed to ensure privacy, an important consideration for stakeholders, and they expect to launch the euro by 2025. Japan. So they had their phase 2 pilot in April 2022, and they've been conducting experiments in this regard, and it does not feel like it's imperative to issue a CBDC in the near future for several reasons. Also, internet banking in Japan is thriving. Okay, so there we go. Canada. The Bank Canada has conducted a CBDC project named Project Jasper, but decided against issuing a CBDC for the time being. India has started pilots for retail and wholesale as of very recently, like last month or the beginning of this month. New Zealand, they're exploring their options for a CBDC. The UK, we've seen that the UK is expected to decide to issue a CBDC. It'd be in the second half of this decade. One of the most successful CBDC projects globally, China's digital yuan experiment. They have 15 pilots. They're all going live. Recently announced pilots. So these are like updates to all of them. India, Australia had launched a white paper stating that its pilot CBDC program, which started this July, would publish results mid-2023. Then Project MBridge. In October 2022, the Bank of International Settlements and 4 central banks and monetary authorities announced the successful completion of Project MBridge. 20 banks in the Hong Kong, Thailand, United Arab Emirates, mainland China deployed the MBridge platform to facilitate 164 foreign exchange and payment transactions worth more than 22 million. Bank of Canada and MIT. So Bank of Canada and MIT, March of 2022, announced a 12-month partnership. So March of 2023, right? That's like the key time frame, March 2023, heading into April, to determine how modern technologies could influence the potential design of CBDCs. Their collaboration is expected to augment Bank of Canada's research effort into CBDCs, and they've yet to decide the introduction of one yet. So then it goes into, this is a great article, huh? Which technology is supporting CBDC development? It talks about Corda, R3 Corda. Then it goes into consensus. Tells you which ones consensus is working on. Then Hyperledger tells you which, and these are why we look at these consortiums. We look at Corda, R3. We look at Hyperledger Foundation. Not much of a consensus, but maybe we should. Then Onyx, multiple wholesale CBDC. The project, a joint venture between the Bank de France, Singapore Monetary Authority of Singapore, tested cross-border payments using wholesale CBDCs. JP Morgan's Onyx technology was used to conduct the experiment, which concluded in July 2021. Which companies are partnering with central banks to issue CBDCs? So it goes into it all here. And it's funny, they don't mention Ripple at all, right? Or Stellar, even though we've seen, Stellar just partnered with the United Nations the other day, right? Like, it's so hush hush, it's not even funny. Despite the ambivalence of many central banks pertaining to CBDCs, a number of private companies are opposed to it. You have the USDC, Circle, you have the American Banking Association. Then will they or won't they? Going the last mile. We're literally at the last mile. The first is that stakeholders' concerns regarding anonymity and privacy, while simultaneously taking preventative measures to monitor illicit activities. Another issue that central banks need to address is interoperability. Interoperability implies adding features of platforms that enable payment systems to exchange information. And to be able to achieve adoption, coexistence, innovation, and efficiency for end users, interoperability will be key. Third, the technology used should promote high transaction throughput and be scalable. Fourth, each CBDC should be unique and tailored to the specific circumstances and requirements of the issuing nation. And then fifth, central banks need to find a critical balance between developments in technological design and the central banking policy fronts. The technological design would call for close collaboration with private technology providers to successfully distribute CBDCs, add new features, and build e-wallets, among others. So roughly 110 central banks around the world are at various stages of ironing out the creases. A handful have already rolled out, and some, like the PBOC and Sweden's Riksbank, are at more advanced stages than others. Despite uncertainties regarding the rolling out of CBDCs, central banks are keeping their monetary systems in a state of preparedness for their widespread use in the future. Very true. We're very close, man. Then you had this just the other day. ECB inks contract with 5 consultancies for digital euro support. So let's see the companies. So companies now engaged by the ECB, you have Accenture, Bearing Point, Deloitte, Oliver Wyman, Roland Berger, Amazon, CaixaBank, EPI, Nexi, Worldline. You got a lot are involved, right? And we already know some of the connections with these. It was very interesting to see Amazon rolled up in there. All right, let's keep moving. So gold hits an all-time high in Pakistan as economic woes spur buying frenzy. So that's the thing. A lot of these countries across the world, you're seeing gold hit record highs, but in the US, you're not seeing that to be the case. That's because the dollar is the world reserve currency. It's maintaining its value. But all the rest of the countries in the world, we're seeing a rapid devaluation. And that's why gold is hitting all-time highs in comparison to their currencies. But we need to consider that this is going to happen in the US as well too. When the dollar ultimately falls and has a rapid decline, gold is going to hit its all-time high in US dollars. And that's when the grand finale happens, because dollars are world reserve currency. If the dollar's falling like that, where gold's hitting all-time highs and everything like that, then you know it's just hitting the fan. So be prepared for something like this and get your hands on physical gold and silver. Then we have Gate.io experiences slowdown in deposits and withdrawals due to node maintenance. It's so hard to trust these exchanges nowadays, especially ones like Gate.io. You definitely, uphold Coinbase, Ledger. That's how I'm rolling. And gold is super important because this is a perfect example right here. So Australia's sovereign wealth fund has added gold, commodities, and tangible alternatives to its portfolio in response to what it describes as a new investment order. So portfolio resilience is key for the future fund. Different investors have different objectives, cash flows, liquidity needs, as well as widely differing beneficiaries. Investors need to carefully assess how their particular context will be impacted by a range of possible future scenarios. What seems likely is that how investors have invested in the past will need to change. For the futures funds part, we have long taken a total portfolio approach with a strong emphasis on genuine diversification. More recently, we have begun to manipulate newer levers across the portfolio to help make it more resilient in the face of these converging structural forces. So portfolio implications, more alpha, more private equity, more volatility, focused on liquidity and dynamic asset allocation, more granular, detailed levers for EM, more correlation caution, broader currency basket, more domestic exposures added to infrastructure, more defensive levers, inflation protection, added gold, commodities, tangible alternatives. There we go. So that's why it's important. I mean, this is what we should be thinking about. Our new investment order, how we're positioning our wealth. And that is definitely needs to be in that bucket right there. So I'm definitely probably going to go into it. If we want to read the whole paper, I'm going to do that for another video. And then we all saw this by now, the Bank de France, HSBC, IBM, test interoperability of wholesale Cbdc. In here are threes mentioned, being a part of it. So we're going to keep going on that. So it's official. The United States is developing a bank-to-bank digital currency. So it's talking about Project Cedar. Project Cedar, New York Fed launches phase 2 of its study into a US dollar Cbdc. If we go down here, this is it. Project Cedar phase 2 plus at times UBIN plus. So it's like the second phase. They're doing a joint effort between the New York Fed's New York Innovation Center and the Monetary Authority of Singapore, intended to investigate how wholesale CbdCs can improve the efficiency of cross-border wholesale payments involving multiple currencies. So we know that's going on. And we know that was like a 12-month pilot for Project Cedar. That's going to end around the end of March as well, too. Just like the one that we read earlier in this video. I think it was Project Jasper, for Canada. All right, cash remains the most used means of payment in stores, but electronic payments have increased further according to our latest study. This is the ECB. More than half of Euro area consumers prefer to pay with card or other methods, but they still consider it important to have cash as an option. At the ECB, we support that you can always pay in the way that best suits your needs. That's why we work to guarantee that cash remains accepted and accessible while also promoting innovation in payments. So it looks like that's going to be the case, that they're going to keep cash, but they're also going to make it digital. Then we have this, Ripple's Anthony Welfare discussed CbdCs in London. Was a couple days ago, as well as you have R3 wondering what the new Edinburgh reforms mean for the UK's financial services, or even better, want to understand why technology should be at the heart of this new strategy. Read the latest from R3's head of government relations, Chris Ford, in FinTech Times. So the Edinburgh reforms accelerating growth or damaging standards. And we will go into this. So the Edinburgh reforms accelerating growth of damaging standards. You have, after the Chancellor unveiled its Edinburgh reforms for UK financial services, we hear from industry experts on the need for reforms and the challenges the government face. What are they? The Edinburgh reforms refer to over 30 regulatory reforms aiming to unlock investment and accelerate growth in towns and cities across the UK. At which he announced a detailed timeline establishing the government's approach to rescind and replace elements of retained laws set by the EU. By making significant changes to banking rules, the government hopes to establish a smarter regulatory framework for the UK. The plan is for the new framework to be agile, less costly, and more responsive to emerging trends than the previous EU-centric laws. The technology and innovation package sees crypto assets included in an expanded investment manager exemption alongside plans to set up a financial market infrastructure sandbox in 2023. The government has also confirmed that its plans to launch a consultation for UK retail Cbdc soon. I mean, the UK looks like they're getting it together. I might have to move there at this point. Repealing the EU solvency. The EU Solvency Directive set out regulatory requirements for insurance firms and groups. The directive covers financial resources, governance and accountability, risk assessment, management, supervision, reporting, public disclosure, and more. They're trying to replace these laws. The Edinburgh reform seized on our Brexit freedoms to deliver an agile and homegrown regulatory regime that works in the interests of British people and our businesses. So they're going to try to change some laws to be more friendly to innovation in the UK. London's financial reputation has been severely held back since Brexit, right at a time when the powers that be have tried to encourage investment and growth in a big way. Sadly, the alert simply isn't there. Many of UK's brightest companies have been snapped up by overseas investors. Now London is losing its top share dealing status. Technology and innovation hold the key to success. Whilst upholding the highest regulatory standards is crucial to tackling financial crime, it's important that this does not hinder productivity, and this is where innovation remains key. To succeed now and in the future, many businesses will need to overhaul internal infrastructures. This means equipping themselves with the state-of-the-art cloud technology powered by automation. Then Chris Ford, head of government relations for R3, also commented on it. He said, if the UK is to remain a global hub for financial services, then technology must be at the heart of its strategy. The government is right to recognize that embracing blockchain-based instruments such as CBDCs can play a central role in achieving its goal. Its support for the FMI's sandbox will also accelerate the coming of exciting financial innovations. For example, the potential issuance of digital gilts could help to set the UK apart amidst competition from Europe and elsewhere. So there we go. And that is going to be it, guys, for this video. I will see you in the next one. We're going to cover ISO. We're going to cover the 2030 agenda and everything that goes along with that. That's going to be a fun one, especially with this personal carbon credit system. We've been tracking that for a bit. So that will be in the next video. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the bell button, get notified in real time when we dish these videos out. We're dishing out a lot of them, so you want to keep up. And if you haven't already too, link will be in the bio. Come join the Discord. Everybody's chatting it up in here. Definitely a good spot to be in. Say what up. I will say what up too, as well as the Stargate's website, stargate-ventures.com. We got the free crypto masterclass accelerator, 10 days. 10 days and this is getting taken down. So if you want to get some free education here, we got 13 videos to prepare you for what's to come. So get over to Stargate-Ventures, claim that free crypto masterclass, because after 10 days, the start of the new year, we're ending it, and you're going to have to sign up for a membership to get 300 plus educational videos to put you ahead of the game. So that's it, guys. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.